play in that 7th week instead of that cross-division game. But what do you think about this? I mean, how does this first game being canceled affect Arizona?
It just gets back to what we talked about with the incompetence of Larry Scott from the beginning. Doing this schedule and making it only in 6 to 7 weeks, counting the last week, and not spacing out the games. We knew this was going to happen. It's happened in all conferences. The SEC this week has, I think, canceled 3 or 4 games now. But the difference is in the SEC, they have weeks that they could make some games up possibly. So it's better. And with the Pac-12, unless, like, if this happens to, like, ASU or, well, maybe not them now, but USC and Oregon, like, how can they make a run for the playoffs if we only have 7 games and 1, 2 could get canceled? And also for Arizona, like, I saw that to make a bowl game in the Pac-12, you need to be 500. I saw that, and it just makes it so much harder. I mean, this team didn't have those expectations, but, only having 6 games left now, like, that's just fairly impossible almost.
Yeah, there's just so much to this one game being canceled. Like, there were talks that Arizona probably should have played Washington last weekend, because they also had their game canceled for the same reasons as Arizona, so 2 healthy rosters. Why didn't they just play each other? But I don't know if I know I said on Dash last week that I think, playing each other twice would have been an option, but I don't know. After kind of thinking it over a little bit more, I don't really think that would have worked out. I mean, having to play a completely new team, in 1 or 2 days' notice. And Kevin Sumlin even said that. He said that there wasn't even a possibility that there was, he said there was no way that you could turn around that fast and play a completely new team. And honestly, I agree with him, but it's just so unfortunate because, like, one game could be the difference in not making a bowl game. Like you said, like, there's just no way they're going to be able to reschedule that game. So, like, that kind of brings up the question, like, should Arizona have gotten a win for this game and a Utah forfeit? Like, I saw that being an option being thrown around. I mean, what do you think about that? Could Arizona have gotten a free win for this? Because, they did everything right. This was all, I don't want to say it's all Utah's fault, but I mean, Arizona followed all the protocols, they did everything right, and they still couldn't play their game. So, I mean, a lot of people are saying, why not just give them the free win? What do you think about that one?
I disagree with that because to me in sports, you got to earn the win. And we don't know. Utah could have followed all the policies and protocols, but something unfortunate could have just happened. That could happen to Arizona. That could happen to anybody, even if you follow all the rules. So I don't think anybody should be handed a win, especially this team, because we know for this team, for them to get a win, that's going to be a big deal because we don't know how many of them we're going to see this year. So yeah, I don't believe in just handing anybody anything.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they should get a win either. I mean, because they didn't really earn it. But I mean, I think the biggest thing for me is that all of the Pac-12 teams agreed before the season started that if there was an outbreak, that the game would be canceled completely. Like, everybody agreed on that. So I don't think Arizona, can test that decision and ask for a forfeit just because those rules were already agreed upon before. But you really do got to feel for the Arizona players and, the ones who handled this the right way and they followed all the protocols. And it's just a shame that this game essentially is just thrown away. Like, I mean, it just seems like there's no sort of backup plan in place. And, like you were just complaining about the Pac-12, and I totally agree. Like, we should have seen this coming like weeks ago. Like, I remember weeks leading up to this game that had, their cases rising and that there was a chance that Arizona might have had to play that game in Tucson because it was getting so bad. So, like, the fact that there was just no sort of backup plan for not only any of the games, but this game in particular, because this game should have been seen from a mile away. Like, we were talking about it weeks ago. You said, oh, geez, those cases are still rising. Is Arizona going to be able to play their game? Like, maybe we should play this game in Tucson. There should have been more of a consideration going on, and the Pac-12 just didn't do any of that. Like, I don't know. It's just such a shame to see this unfolding and more news just coming out and Pac-12 just having no solution to, anything that's going on. Like, it's a real shame because this one game is going to mean a lot for the bowl game prediction, or like for the bowl game projections.
Yeah, as you just said, I think the Pac-12 should have put something in place, and not just them, but all college football. I was thinking about maybe the idea of like Utah's playing at, like, Arizona's playing at Utah, so maybe for the whole week before Arizona goes to Utah, and they have like an off-site training facility that they use or something like that, because so they all quarantine together. Because the reality is they're college kids and they're walking around like, and it's bound to happen. They're living with other people, and yeah. But I also think there's a bright side to this, because I think it makes this Arizona team hungrier coming into this week against USC at home. Because as we heard Kevin Sumlin said, some of the players were very sad, crying maybe even. And I think it's motivating this team to the next level, and I think they're actually going to compete this week.
Yeah, I mean, before we start talking about Utah, USC, I want to get one more point off. Like, why are we not moving the bowl games and the college football playoffs back farther? Like, this is not just a Pac-12 problem. Like, everybody is having trouble with canceling their games getting canceled. Like, the Pac-12 isn't the only conference that's having these games canceled and dealing with this. Like, the entire country is dealing with this. There's games getting canceled left and right. Like, it's getting to the point where we have to just do what's best for everyone and move the postseason games back. Like, it's really not that big of a deal. Like, every other professional sports league has moved their, dates back. Like, why can't, college football do the same? Like, who cares if bowl games are happening at the end of January instead of the beginning of January?
A lot of them are in your indoor stadiums.
Like, literally, like, there's no problem with just moving it a couple weeks back. Like, it doesn't have to be months in advance. It's just got to be like a couple extra weeks to get those, 1, 2, or maybe even 3 games to make up. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, like the NBA had what their champion crowned in what, like August or July, or like when was it? It was way past August. It was like September.
But they start in the bubble in the late summer. But this has happened also in like the Big Ten. Like, for example, Wisconsin, they played one game out of their first 3 weeks. 3 weeks they played one football game because they're canceled. So and they're a team that could make a run to the playoffs. So I've read a lot of people that suggest that they move it back, and I think they actually will move it back, because as we see, the trend keeps going up and up for cases and cancellations each week. So it's just bound to happen, and yeah, I think they all need to come together and just make it better for everybody.
It's always so tough because like the conferences kind of all work differently. Like, this should be something that the NCAA takes a hold of, and it goes down from the top to the bottom. Like, stop letting these conferences do whatever the heck they want. Like, you guys need to come together. This is such a crazy year, and there's so much like weird stuff going on. You can't have all these conferences just fending for themselves. Like, there needs to be some sort of cooperation going on. The Pac-12 is screwed here in terms of their last game is that a couple days before they pick all the bowl games. So like, there's just no way that Arizona is going to make a bowl game if they only end up playing, 5 games. Like, it's just so bad for everybody, and not just Arizona and not just Utah and Washington and Cal and all these games that are already, far behind on their games, but it's bad for everybody. Like, they have to move this back, and I don't know why they haven't done it yet, but I agree with you. I do think they're gonna move it back. They have to.
And my last point is that if they keep cutting the games down, to me, it devalues the bowl games even more. Like, they're already cutting the season in half from 12 games to 6 to 7 in some conferences, whatever, different amounts. And it's just like cool, you made a bowl game and you won 3 games. Like, that's not a bowl game, like that just makes it like, all right, you won a few games. Like, you went 3 and 3. Like that's not good. So like, to me, yeah, they need to do better. The whole NCAA.
It's already bad enough that the Pac-12 is playing 7 games, and now they're going to have even less games than that. Like, it's so ridiculous. Like, something needs to get fixed. But we'll go ahead and start talking.